Well, good evening and welcome to my kitchen table. It's an Aussie kitchen table once again. We're in Coffs Harbour, aren't we, for Rally Australia. And look where we are. Just look at this. It's magnificent. That's Coffs Harbour Bay behind us. The actual harbour itself just across to the left side. The super special stage, the Visit New South Wales super special stage, just behind us here. Tomorrow night, not tomorrow night because that's Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night, you won't be able to hear yourself think up here with those World Rally cars. It'll be so noisy. It'll be fantastic. Visit New South Wales super special stage. Keep an eye out for that on Rally Australia. So we are here. It's the final round of the season. What have we got to tell you? Well, I suppose the main talking point is still very much what is Sébastien Ogier going to do? And we don't know. We genuinely don't know yet quite what Sébastien Ogier is going to do. This is quite funny because we've got lovely Jake who's got a huge camera and he's getting very close to my little camera on my iPhone. Jakey boy, you keep that back there. Yeah, there we go. Sébastien Ogier, what is he going to do? Do you know what? I think, as I've told you on, I think, the previous two kitchen tables, we have two options for Ogier right now. He's considering two options. He's had more than two options, that's for sure. 4, maybe 5 options. He's considering two. He's considering the M Sport offer. He's considering retirement. Now, that might be temporary retirement. Now, what he said to us is that we'll hear something quite possibly during this event. I don't think it'll be during the event. I certainly don't think it'll be before the event. I think Sunday in Australia, that's Saturday night in Europe, Saturday night, early Sunday morning in Europe, I think that is when we will get an announcement from Sébastien Ogier. Right now, my money is on Ogier staying at M Sport for another year at least, with the backing, as we mentioned at the last kitchen table, from Ford of Europe. Very much back involved from what I'm hearing. I think it's a done deal that Ford of Europe are back in. No official announcement yet. I think that is the main thing to take from this. I'm not saying they're back in, but I certainly think Ford of Europe are back in. And that's, do you know what? That's fantastic news for everyone. Because yes, M Sport have done an unbelievable job in keeping the Ford presence alive within the WRC for the past 5 years. But to have Ford officially back in the World Rally Championship is a boost for everyone M Sport, for everyone involved in the World Rally Championship. And how could they not come back in? They've got Mr. Wilson, who's produced this incredible car. You've got Sébastien Ogier driving the car brilliantly. You'll have Elvin Evans in the number 2 car next year. Again, that's not confirmed, but I think it's more or less a done deal. It's a no-brainer for the Ford Motor Company, in particular Ford Performance, and in particular Ford of Europe. An absolute no-brainer, and it's great that if what I hear is correct, that they are very much back involved. So, is Ogier going to be part of that Ford of Europe and M Sport collaboration next year and perhaps for years beyond that? I think he is. My money is very much on Ogier. He said a few things this week. All I'm doing here is reading into tweets, into Facebook postings, into what I'm hearing Seb saying. And he doesn't sound like a man to me on the brink of retirement. He really doesn't. He's talking about coming to Australia. He's not talking about coming to his last rally. He doesn't sound to me as if he is about to retire, which is great news because I think Ogier in the mix next year. Ogier lifts everyone's level. Ogier is the man who knows how to win titles. Ogier is the man who does it better than anyone. Ogier is the man who shows the way to the youngsters, and they will all have to up their game next year if Ogier is still there and they want to beat him. God, we have a great 2018 in prospect. Whether Seb stays or not, we've got a great 2018 in prospect. But in particular, with Seb there, we have a magnificent championship in prospect again. And my goodness, could it top this year? I think it could. I really think it could. Because I think Evans will be in the mix. Maybe Craig Breen. I'm absolutely certain that Citroen and Chris Meek will be in the mix. And for sure, the handsome one will be there. And who knows, we might have 3 Toyota drivers mixing it up in the World Championship next year. Wow, it's a juicy prospect, isn't it? I'm looking forward to it already. But a couple of other things to tell you about. DMAC again, I hinted at it a couple of kitchen tables ago. DMAC have announced just today or yesterday that they won't be fielding a team in the World Rally Championship next year. So you won't have the Oitanak DMAC team as we had last year before, the Elvin Evans DMAC car that we've seen this year. That isn't going to happen. It doesn't mean that we won't have DMAC as a tyre supplier, because we will. But clearly the result they had in GB opens up opportunities for them. They're a small company, a remarkably small company. They clearly have to allocate budget very sensibly, very prudently. And right now, they're looking to capitalise on what they did in GB and expand their dealer network, expand their, if you like, presence within other championships, and at the same time, develop their tyre into an all-round tyre. Right now, their gravel tyre is magnificent in certain conditions. What they have to do, and they know this, if they want a World Rally team to take their tyres full-time for the season, is they have to develop a tyre that allows them to be competitive in all sorts of gravel weather conditions. Right now, if it's cool, if it's wet, the DMAC is the tyre to have. That might only work for a couple of rallies. They have to have an all-round tyre. They know that, so they're taking a bit of a break from the WRC. But as I say, they'll still be there as a tyre supplier, but you just won't see a DMAC car next year. And they will develop their commercial operation. They'll develop their tyre, the competitive tyre. And fingers crossed, we will see them at some point on one of the manufacturer teams. Listen, there'll be an ERC. The other thing I'd heard a little while back was that they would run a 2-car ERC team next year. Now, there's absolutely no mention of that in what we're hearing from DMAC, but I still think that that is a possibility, that DMAC might run a liveried team within the ERC. We'll wait and see whether that happens. Now, as I said earlier, we're in Oz, and my God, I love Australia. It's like a second home to me, it really is. I absolutely adore this country. Every time I come here, I get excited and think about perhaps missing the plane home, which is a bit naughty. But Rally Australia, I feel for the organisers of Rally Australia. It was just bubbling up nicely a couple of rallies ago, and it looked as if we might get a title decider here. Clearly, the drama that we saw in GB put paid to that, but we still have a battle for second place. And we have, if you like, the most open rally of the year. We've got, what, 7 winners this year? Who's to say that we might not get an 8th winner? If that is to happen, it would probably be Craig Breen, but I don't, it's an outside chance that Craig Breen's got. But the other 7 who have all won this year will be going hammer and tongs at it for the win here. Now, slightly different things happening in Rally Australia this year. I've been out to have a look. Have a look at this little clip. So a few changes then for Rally Australia this year. Once again, just under 320 kilometres. 318 is the total length this year, 21 stages. The big change, though, is on the Friday. We used to go well south of Coffs Harbour on the Friday. We come north. Really, it's more or less in a straight line in from the town of Woolgoolga. A really pretty little town, that's where I'm staying. We've got 3 new stages. We're on the first of those 3 new stages. It's Sherwood, and as you can see, it's in this magnificent forest, the most magnificent part of the country here. It's a longish stage, this one. The vast majority of it comes through this forest. What's interesting is the surface, is the road. Have a look at this road. It's really, really compacted. What you've got here are roads that are used regularly. You don't get a lot of rain here, but when it does rain, the surface changes. You have to be able to read where the grip is. As you can tell, a lot of the water runs off the road. It doesn't run into the surface, it runs off the surface. Makes things very, very difficult to predict in terms of the grip. Remember back to 2011 when we had that torrential rain on the Friday. Sebastian Loeb rolled, Ogier went off. It was absolute carnage out there. Now, we shouldn't see that sort of slipperiness if it does rain. As I say, different surface react differently to the weather. Those stages, way back in 2011, were further east. East puts us in the ocean, further west from where we are here, almost at the foothills of the mountains that then rise up to this magnificent plain. Different surface, reacted differently. The rain came down, that horribly slippery mud. The big problem here is water running down the stages if it does rain. It could be very, very interesting. If it doesn't rain, we'll get cleaning. We always do in this part of the world. It's loose, it's dusty, it's dry for sure. Now, the other thing you have to look out about the stage, come this way, camera person. Can't say cameraman because it's not a cameraman. It's It's my lovely friend Nabila Teshba. Anyone who watches the British Rally Championship, multi-talented girl, she really is. Have a look at this. You know, in places this stage is very narrow. You absolutely have to get your lines right. These crests, these rises are a feature of this stage. You know, it's fast. You've come down really flat out down the hill. You're taking this line. You've got to get it right across here because you will lift. This one's actually a little bit less severe than a lot that we've seen so far in this stage. You've got to get the line right. You'll take off, landing, then braking as you head down through these big trees, relatively narrow, off the line. Well, you can forget about any grip at all. There is none. These crests, these jumps in this new stage could be critical in this year's Rally Australia. Different stages this year, which are quite interesting, because whenever we get new stages, it's a level playing field for everyone. But what's really interesting, I touched on it in that little piece that we did there, the weather forecast for this week looks very mixed, certainly for Friday and then Saturday and Sunday in particular. Right now, look at this. This is what we've had for the last 3 or 4 days. The weather's been beautiful. We had the odd shower. Friday is the same. They're predicting the odd little shower. Saturday, Sunday, we might get a little more persistent rain. And that's when it gets very interesting on these roads. So let's wait and see. 20, 21 degrees is what we're looking at potentially. Last year, remember on the Nambucca stage, 35, 36 degrees. So quite different the weather this year. But I think it's going to play a big part in the outcome here this week. If we get rain Friday morning, Ogier will again be the man to beat. If it doesn't rain, clearly the likes of Mickelson further back will have a really good shout. But it's going to be a fascinating rally. It always is. Rally Australia, my absolute favourite. Who'll win? Chris Meek, I think, will win this one. It's been a torrid year for Citroën and for Chris Meek. I think he will go out on a high and set himself up for a challenge at next year's championship, next year's title fight. So there we are. Guys, thanks once again for listening to my ramblings from this rather gorgeous, almost kitchen table here at Coffs Harbour in Australia. Follow all the action this weekend at various outlets. Follow Rally Australia. They've got a great Facebook feed at Rally Australia on Facebook. I think it's at Rally Australia as well on Twitter. They've got a wonderful Instagram feed there as well. So the boys and girls who look after the social media for Rally Australia do a fantastic job. Follow them. Follow me, obviously, as well on Facebook at Voice of Rally. Leave any comments you like here on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, leave some comments there as well. But once again, from the kitchen table, thanks for joining me.